allocating some resources.
You are on stage.
The resources have been allocated.
You okay? It looked like you hurt yourself.
I was lying. It's my little bit that I do all the time. I just do a little bit about selling it like I heard it to see if anyone ever shows any concern, and no one ever does, and you just pass the test.
I was gonna say that's either hurt or that's just the way that you clip your nails and you do that in front of your guests, which is kind of disgusting. But okay.
Like I hurt myself, and I want to see if anyone ever goes, "Hey, are you okay? That looked like it sucked." No one ever has, and now you have. And
it's a good sell.
You set a standard within the first 5 seconds of us recording.
Yeah.
For the most.
You said this was episode. This was episode 347, so 346 guests, and nobody's ever asked if you're okay.
No one's ever been like, "Oh shoot, you okay? That seemed like it sucked."
The finger could be bleeding. It could be purple. It could be hanging off by the knuckle. Like nothing.
It's a serious slate slapping injury.
Yeah, that's not something to balk at. I mean, I have family members that have finger digital injuries. Like, I mean, it's no laughing matter.
Digital.
Yeah, hurt fingies.
Their digits
are now the digits.
They're not even analog anymore. They're digital fingers.
Mm-hmm. Yep, digits 1, 2, and 3. And I don't know if you count the thumb, but it's there.
Oh, it's a digit. I believe it is. I believe it's a digit.
Yeah. Not a Digimon, it's a digit.
Digit. When we were everybody, thanks for joining us. Thanks for coming along. Johnny 13 and I are very old friends. Welcome back to the program. This is the second time we've done an episode, right?
I believe so. If not, I mean, I think we've done a handful of podcasts.
The funny thing was, you came to my apartment and we recorded one in my bedroom, and I was telling you about the girlfriend that I had at the time. Do you remember this?
Yes. I remember this exactly.
And I was telling you about the girlfriend I was dating at the time, and I was like, "It's great. I'm happy."
Yeah. It was awesome.
Then we walked out into the living room. You met her. We hugged. You left. And her and I sat down and had a conversation, and she broke up with me.
Yeah, before I got home, you had texted me to let me know. I was like, wow, that's I was like, that's terrible. I felt so bad for you.
Well, that's not happening this time.
Well, that's good. Yeah, you told me that you're locked in now.
Yeah, got to put a ring on it and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she ain't going nowhere.
Nope. No, sir.
That's cool. Yeah, how'd you meet this one?
Here on the podcast. I met her on the podcast.
Oh, cool. Yeah, what's your name?
Alyssa Marie. Her and I did well, she did a show on Netflix. Like, she did a singing show for Netflix. And one of our mutual friends reached out to me and said, "Hey, my friend just did a show for Netflix, like a singing competition show, and it would be great if she would come on your podcast and like talk about it." And I was like, "Yeah, I'm up for it." So then her and I started talking. We did the podcast. The podcast was the first conversation we ever really had. We were just texting back and forth, like getting ready for setting this up.
Mm-hmm.
And the podcast was the first conversation we ever had. And I guess that was kind of our first date.
Wow.
Not really. That wasn't really our first date.
Okay, I was going to say, like, how formal.
No, it was not meant to be a romantic conversation. It was like just us, like me having her as a guest. And then towards the end of it, after we got off mic or whatever, and we just stayed in the stream, and we just chatted for a few more hours. Yeah. And then I was finally like, where do you live? And she told me, and it was only 40 minutes away from me. And I said, "Do you want to hang out? Like, let's definitely hang out." So we hung out. That was like the day we recorded was like a Wednesday, and then we hung out on Sunday, and we've been together ever since. And
That's cool.
March. March will be 4 years.
Cool. Awesome.
Yeah.
That's really, really cool.
Well,
I mean, I think
it is
most
March
first
right now.
dates, well, yeah, it's
Right.
March 2nd.
So in 5 days, it will have been it'll have been 4 years
It's been
since
4 years
our
officially
birthday. Yeah.
on the dot. So you have the anniversary coming up.
Mm-hmm.
So, so now you have to do something because now it's out there in public.
Yeah. Well, we already
Because
have
you can't turn around on Wednesday and be like, oh man, I totally forgot now.
forgot to make plans. Darn it!
Oh, totally skipped my mind.
Uh, so we're gonna go to Atlantic City and go to Pete Holmes' show. Pete Holmes is having
Yeah.
a show in Atlantic City. We're going. Well, we're going for our anniversary, but his show is in April.
Yeah,
So,
we just watched them in that Anna Kendrick movie, Woman of the Hour.
oh, I didn't see it.
You haven't watched it? It's on Netflix. Yeah, he plays the scummy next door neighbor in Hollywood that wants to run lines with the actress, and
Mm,
he gets to sleep with Anna Kendrick.
cool, good for him.
Yeah. It's a good movie. It has nothing to do really with Pete Holmes. He's just kind of like a side,
No, it's
like a
just
secondary guy.
acting. We
But no, it was
the
good. Like he was
actors
good
who
in it.
play parts.
I mean, he was good in it. He was just a scumbag. But that's cool. Where's he go? Like we're in Atlantic City.
He's gonna be at Harrah's in Atlantic City
Cool.
on April 12th. We'll be there.
Are
Yeah.
do you follow a lot of like stand up comedians now?
Yeah. I'm nuts about comedy, dude. You don't
Yeah.
act like you haven't known
No,
me
I
for like 30 years.
no, that's why I'm asking because I know how much you love comedy. Like I mean, I think both of us kind of have that in common.
Yeah.
But you've dived into stand up comedy a little bit more than I have. I mean, you've actually been on stage. But we were watching SNL from last night. We were watching Shane Gillis, his opening monologue. Not the greatest that they've ever had, but I mean,
Do you
they're
like
not
Shane?
all going to be great. I
Do
don't
you
know. I
like
think
Shane
I'm kind of on the fence about them.
on the
What'd you say?
offense? You're
I'm on
on the
like the fence. Yeah, like we watched Tires. I've watched a couple of his stand-ups. I don't think he's terrible. I don't think he's bad. I think some of his jokes are better than others. But I don't know. I think I have
with all comedians.
yeah. Well, I mean like with some guys like with Mitch Hedberg, like Mitch, like every one of Mitch's jokes were home runs in my opinion. Like I thought Mitch could tell a joke like nobody, and he always had a way of telling you a joke without you even seeing it coming. Um, like guys like Chappelle, I think they've been so seasoned that they know how to tell a joke really really well, even when they're trying to pass some sort of moral, thought onto you. You know what I mean? But like Shane's very like I was saying to my wife this morning, Shane's kind of like that guy. Like he's like, yeah, I'm creeping on you, but at least I ain't raping you.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of like yeah, it's like hey, like like yeah, you're weird, but you're harmless.
Yeah. Uh, I think the cancel culture kind of backfired on trying to come for Shane Gillis.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. Like, listen, if you don't like something, you don't have to like something. You can just turn it off. Like, I mean, there are certain people that I don't, care for. But I can't say that I hate Shane Gillis or that I don't agree with him. I mean, I just, some of his jokes just, don't land with me, or I just don't think that it's necessarily funny. But, um,
Did you
you know,
did you stay a Louis C.K. fan
I don't
after
think I
he got
ever really was.
you don't think you ever
Like,
were?
no, I never watched his show. I never paid attention to his specials. I mean, if he was the comedic genius that he was, I think maybe he probably would have been forgiven by now. And the fact that you don't hear from him, um, maybe says something about that.
He,
But again, I mean, like there comes a
he's still
point.
playing shows, man. He's still
Oh,
filming
I get he
specials.
is. Yeah, I
He's
mean, but
still
so does Jeff Dunham. Like, I mean, Jeff Dunham still has sold out shows all over the place. Um, yeah, I mean, like it's not hard to sell an audience with a name, and I'm sure Louis is doing fine. But it's just there comes a sense where you kind of have to look at yourself and be like, you didn't know that pulling your dick out and masturbating in front of mixed company was a bad idea. Like you really needed to be told that,
well. I
like,
mean,
and then we have to debate it. Like it's kind of dumb. Like not to do that kind of thing. It's okay to make jokes about it on stage, but to do it backstage in a green room, even if it is with people that you're comfortable with. I mean, like, listen, I'm comfortable with my wife. I have sex with her, but I'm not just gonna whip it out and beat off in front of her.
unless she asks.
Right, unless she says it's totally consenting. But I mean, like if
No,
I did that, I'm
I
pretty
think
sure she's gonna look at me and be like, "Do you have something you want to get off your chest, or off your balls? Like, what the hell?"
it's a fine line between between like inappropriate and then what is a kink for people. Some people like have a thing, and he was like, he did in his one special. He's like, everybody knows what my thing is now. He's like,
Yeah.
Obama knows my thing. I don't think I ever got like mad or upset with Louis C.K. I think it's uh, I don't think his brand. We were talking about branding earlier before we got on.
Mhm.
We're talking. His brand has always been a little bit pushing the inappropriate levels. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
he had jokes about. I don't know if you remember this joke, but he said, "Know how you find out how good of a person you are?"
Right.
It's like how long you waited to masturbate until on 9/11. Like
Yeah, I think I heard that joke once or twice.
that's how good of he's like, "That's how good of a person you know you are." For me, it was between both towers falling, darn it.
Which, yeah, obviously makes sense, but again, like it's obviously a masking of what
Ma ma
reality is.
masturbation.
Right, yeah, masturbation. Like one of my go-to shows, like that I put on like my comfort shows is Parks and Rec, and he's in there as a cop.
Right. Yeah.
Like he plays a law enforcement officer, somebody who's supposed to serve and protect, and not like it's
Leslie
like
Knope.
years later it doesn't take away from the episode. It's not like like, oh, I can't watch those episodes because Louis C.K.'s in them, and I know that he spanks it in front of people. Like, it's just I didn't really care, but at the same time, it's just kind of like again, like you didn't know that that was inappropriate behavior. I mean, you're a comedian. Like the whole idea is, I know you're supposed to be irreverent and you talk about inappropriate things or whatever your gimmick and your shtick is, but um, obviously, as a decent human being, what's right and what's wrong. You got to ask for consent first.
Oh, I know from maybe I'm in a unique situation in having CK be my initials, but a lot of people said that some of the things I did were career killers, and
Mm.
maybe that and not knowing that line there is a career killer.
Well, it looks like it was. I mean, or at least a major detriment to him for a while.
Well, yeah, I
But
mean,
again, like I mean, he's like you said, he's still doing shows. He's still a successful comedian. You're not going to take away the accolades of his multiple Netflix special hits and all of his sold out arena shows, or his multiple award winning comedy albums.
his 2017 special on Netflix is I
Right.
still watch it. I still enjoy it. It still brings me a joy and it still cracks me up. Like there's still jokes that I laugh at every time that he did on that
There's still
special.
people that enjoy the Cosby Show. I mean,
Right.
look at him. I mean, you're not going to take away all of the what Emmys and whatever that show
Separate
won,
the art
or
from the artist, I guess. As
you can denounce the artist if they wind up doing shitty things. I mean, like I feel like listen, like I mean, if the artist does something that you like, that's all well and good, and you can enjoy the art. That's all well. That's perfectly fine. You know, if it comes out later on that that artist is a douchebag and they suck, you know, you have a choice to make. You know, do you care to ignore it, or do do you choose to walk away from it? It's all based on your on where you stand as a human being. Like you said, you know, with like how decent of a person are you? How long did you wait on 9/11 before
Right,
you cranked it? You know, and you know, for a lot of people, you know, that those there were certain lines, and for some people, there's not. And I think that's a lot. I think that's kind of like the moral issue that a lot of people face with now in this country is, you know, where is that line for our leaders? Where is that line for the people that we put into positions of power to represent us?
right. Yeah, well, I mean,
Yeah.
there's a certain level of compromise that people make with their morality, that like isn't available for the entire public to see. So these
Right.
are behind closed doors, moral compromises that some people make, and sometimes people get exposed for those compromises, as is the case with Louis and whoever else may have gotten canceled. I mean, dude,
Yeah.
Cosby did was completely, to me, not as comparable to what Louis did, but that that's like you said, it's a very fine line on that one.
Who did you say besides Louis? You sound like you cut out there.
Cosby.
Cosby. Oh yeah, absolutely. Like I mean, like compared to like yes, I mean in comparison, yes, Bill Cosby is hands down a bigger demon than Louis C.K. was. Um, but it's kind of like fabric from the same cloth kind of deal. You know, you're still dealing with this like sexualized side of things,
They're
and
like
you're getting off on it.
the like the like inspiration that Bill Cosby gave to comedians who wound up being like trailblazers in the forum of stand up comedy.
Hmm.
Was it's similar to like the Beatles effect on music. Like
Right.
so it's hard to go like, oh well, that's a monster. That individual is a monster, and uh like we can't like him anymore, but we can't take away from the fact that like what his public perception was in the time when he was at his prime, uh helped guide a lot of the voices that we now enjoy.
Right. But I think his other perception is, that of America.
Mhm.
This is the person you were supposed to go to with all of your problems. This is the guy who was supposed to protect you and help you out.
It was all
He had all the moral answers.
And you find out it was all hucksta bullshit.
It was all Huxtable bullshit. It's kind of like, in next Friday when Day Day goes up to his parents' bedroom with with the final notice letter that they got in the mail.
Mhm.
And like he knows he has no idea what he's about. What we have no idea what we're about to see, right? But then all of a sudden, like his dad walks out in the gimp mask and like it's all black lights and like S&M dungeon in there, and they're like, "What the hell's going on?" They're like, "Whoa!" Like you're seeing this whole side of somebody that you've never known, and like they live in your same house. So yeah, obviously, you're going to, especially with people in the spotlight, people that you don't you don't grow up with, and people that we see on television, like you said, moral compromises are made every single day. Like there was the movie Jason Bateman was just did Carry On. It's on Netflix.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
at the airport terminal.
I know what you're talking about, though. Yeah,
You didn't see it though.
right. I haven't seen it yet, but I know what you're talking
Okay.
about.
All right, but for
I can
without giving anything away, the main character has to make moral moral compromises and choices in order to you know for the greater good, more or less. Like doing things that are shitty, on the surface, but underneath look like, or underneath have more substance and more depth to them than what you're seeing. And there I wish there was like an easier way to kind of like explain what was happening, like for
Hey, I
for
don't
people
know
to
if you
see,
know
like,
this about me, but okay, just for myself, I don't mind spoilers at all, and I could take a little pause right here and say, hey, if you haven't seen the movie and you don't want any spoilers, hit the skip forward button about
oh no, it has
15
nothing to do with the movie.
Okay, okay, but either way, I'm I'm okay with it, in
Yeah,
the fact that like since you remember coming to the
you're
arena
fine getting spoiled.
was
You're fine getting spoiled.
I'm a spoiled little princess.
Yeah, spoil the shit out of you. No, but what I was saying is like I wish like within that, like within like the like within the real world confines of like a choice that you have to make where like somebody's not going to be happy with something that you did. And I don't know how we got off this from Louis C.K. and Bill Cosby, but like making those choices, but like letting people know ahead of time, like, hey, this is the choice that I have in front of me. This is what I have to do in order to, you know, I guess put forward to the bigger picture. You know what I mean? I wish there was a way to do that, like in like in real time for people to see, but like it's almost like impossible. It feels like,
Right. Well, I mean, it's that like surface thing of it too. Like when a lot of people look at like you and they see not you specifically, but I'm just saying like they could look at anybody and see like the success that a person has, and not see
Right?
all the sacrifice and pain and like rejection that went into eventually getting to that point. So
Yeah.
like that is the exact same when it comes to these compromises that these people had to make. Some of them some of those compromises may have gotten them towards the finish line that you see on the
Oh, the
outside. So
11 clocks here.
yeah, the train going by.
Nice.
Yeah, we got train tracks in our backyard. There's
So where I used to live in Pennsylvania, Spring City, which was it was right on the other side of the river from Royersford, and they had a comedy club. Maybe you heard of it. It was called Soul Joel's.
Soul Joel's
Right. They've since moved to an indoor building, but before they were just a summer outdoor venue, and they had
for
this.
like during COVID, right?
Mhm, mhm, yeah.
Soul Joel's was where like somebody rushed the stage and tried to attack Jay Okerson.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. It was like they had this whole big like tarped arch
Mm-hmm.
tenant thing, and then it was like it was like a sandpit, but the train ran literally right behind the stage, and there was a crossing section like with a road 10 yards from the club, right? So every time the train would come through, you're hearing it, I mean, and like those trains, even when I lived up on the hill, like on the other side of like the valley, like I could hear that train in the middle of the night. So this thing is loud as shit in the middle of a set. So like with like Aunt Mary Pat or something that we were seeing the one night, and she's going like, "Hey, you guys, want to go to the Acme?" For like a whole 5 minutes, dude. It was so stupid.
Yeah, it can be it can be an obstacle, but
Yeah.
it's like I like to take the bad with the good, and the good way outweighs the bad on so many things when it comes
So how much
to
does it how much does it cost you to soundproof that room?
well, um, I think the eventual goal would be to soundproof the basement and then move this all into the basement and do it like a whole podcast
Studio?
studio in the basement.
Nice.
But this is kind of like the the transitional period, and that's what's fun. That's fun. That's what's fun about having this show, because like in no other thing except for people's like, I posted this on TikTok. I posted this on Facebook. My Facebook status said transitional period. And like, oh, it got 13 likes on it, and then you completely
Nobody
forget.
likes transitioning.
And but like, I go like, this is for the record, right? When you said like, what time capsule did you pull that out of? And you
Yeah,
were my ultrazone name tag that I found
yeah.
from when I worked at Ultrazone, the laser tag place, uh, 27 years ago, however long ago that was. Uh,
Where we became friends.
yeah, and I was like, uh, I have this now on the record where I can go back and just randomly listen to an episode and be like, here's the moment in my life where I was. This is where I was headed. This is where I came from. This is what I went through, and here's where I stand, and I'm continuously evolving. It's evolving with Cory Kastle because, like, if you listen to episode 1 and you got yourself
Yeah,
all the way to 347, and I'm not the same guy. Like, for sure, I'm absolutely not the same guy, and I promote you, and I promote anybody who I love, or anybody who's listening, or anybody who's spending the currency of their effort and attention on listening to any word I ever have to say. It's like, change, be different, like evolve, grow, do as much as you can do to be a better version of yourself tomorrow than you are today.
yeah. The hard thing about it is just realizing that it's not a quick process, you know.
Yeah.
And for me, for somebody with ADHD, especially living in the time of instant gratification, it sucks when you don't get it. When you have to learn something, or you have to take, you know, when you have to take, quote unquote, the slow bus. Not that that you're stupid or anything, but it just takes a minute for something to click. It takes something, a minute for you to learn or grasp a concept. And it's kind of like things that I'm dealing with now. Like I'm working on my podcast, and you were grateful enough to come and do my show, and working on editing that because I want to maybe condense it for time, and for for consumption. But I originally had this idea of posting it this week and getting it out there, and I'm kind of thinking to myself, like, maybe we should take our time with it. Like, I obviously I have I don't have a whole lot of time, with a baby now, but um, editing down the interview that we did, putting together the other parts of the podcast together. Not saying it's going to take forever to put out, but obviously working with the time that I have, and then just making sure that things are right to put it together for for that production value, and realizing that it does take time for things to to come to fruition, and to hit their final form. Like, I mean, and I don't even think, individually speaking on that kind of level, I don't think that either one of us are at that final form level. But evolution does take time, and I think people need to realize that, and just come comfortable with the fact that, like, evolution is for everybody. Evolution and growing and changing is a positive thing, but it does take time, and it happens glacially. It happens slow. It's not overnight.
Every butterfly you see was once a caterpillar. Is it, you
Right,
know,
but they don't pop, like, they don't just go into the cocoon one night and then pop out the next
right?
morning. It's not that quick. It's not like it's not like waking up, having a cup of instant coffee, and then taking your first crap. Like, it doesn't work that quickly.
Do you, so. How have you put out any episodes of your podcast yet, or it's brand new, right?
It's absolutely, it's so brand new. It's still fetal. Like, it
Pre-production
hasn't
level.
even been born yet. Yeah,
Yep.
it's still pre-production level. I have this whole kind of like game plan of things that I want to, like, you
You want
know like
a
teaser
strat?
things that I want to,
Mhm.
yeah, do that whole strategy thing. I'm looking to embrace that content creator lifestyle. Because again, like you said, with evolving, what I do now with radio, is kind of something that seems to it needs to be evolved, or I at least need to evolve from that.
The
And a
old way
big
was
thing that
finite. Like
yeah,
there's only like a timeline where like it's gonna continue being like just enough. You're gonna have to up it up. You're gonna have to ramp it every time. You're gonna have to be
yeah,
like, I offer, I have this more to offer now. I have
right,
not just not just knowing information about the music, because you do that
right.
so good. Like with your like little information breaks that you do, and you do those live on the air. The
Hmm. Yeah, yeah.
and
The rock news stuff. Yeah, like I'll go on. I'll jump on Instagram Live and I'll do those there. Um, and I'll do that live on the air. During my show. All my show is 100% live. But I only talk for maybe a grand total of like 10 minutes throughout that whole 4 hours.
what is it? You do a
But
lot of cultivating music, right? Like you build up like
yeah, I
a
mean, but that's all somebody else's control. Like, I don't think it's a shock for people to know that like radio DJs, terrestrial radio DJs on an FM station like in your town don't have a whole lot of control over what's being played other than what they're talking about. I mean, certain stations like, major cities like Philadelphia, New York, LA, Boston, if they have, a personality based station like WMMR is, where you have, big name stays like Pierre Robert, Preston and Steve, and Jackie Bam Bam. Those guys probably do get a little bit of leeway with, being able to curtail the log a little bit to their liking and playing certain music that they like, and not so much something that's going to be more appealing to a general mass audience. But me, the low guy on the totem pole, no, we don't get that. We don't get that privilege out here. So I pretty much, the only control that I have is over the things that I talk about, and even that is censored to a certain degree. Like,
well, yeah,
I can't.
CC regulations have to be followed, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, not so even much that. I mean, those are pretty easy. As long as you don't curse or say anything too disgusting or derogatory, you're pretty much fine. I mean, and I walk that line pretty well. I probably shouldn't have, but what I mean is like, my boss, obviously doesn't want me to get political on the air, which I agree with. I mean, we're a rock station. You don't come here to hear our
Right.
point of view on what's happening in the
Not
White House. You
not
want to hear rock music,
not the source
right?
for that
Right.
that
But like,
that
if Green Day takes a shot at Elon Musk while they're performing in South America, I'm going to talk about it.
did that happen?
Yeah, oh yeah. They changed the lyric of American Idiot to don't want to be a part of a Musk agenda, and they played that like in his hometown, or close to it, at least in South Africa.
Okay. Okay.
But I mean, like, it's, I get that, but like, but more so, like, we're not, like, my boss had conversations with me about, being overtly sexual, or like, or talking about certain things, because there was a there was something that I had talked about on the air, about, basically it was consensual sex. Like, that's what I was talking about. I forget what it was. I think it was like a sex position or something like that. And I said, you know, I think my punchline with it was like, um, back at home, if you use it, like, if you use a condom, it's whatever the sexual thing with. And then, like, I was making like a cheesesteak reference or something like that. And I said, like,
Oh,
if you don't use one, it's a blank without. Yeah, it's like a
mhm.
blank without, right? And I
Yeah, yeah,
remember my boss.
I get it.
Yeah. But like, I
Mhm.
remember my boss having a conversation with me about it and saying, like, try not to say things like that and blah blah blah. Nothing that I said uh, was illegal to say on the air. It was just that I said things like condom and sex and there was one phone call that came in saying get better DJs. It was like I was so filthy disgusting. It was funny.
Well, like I think a lot of it has to go like, well, sometimes people listen to terrestrial radio in the car and have their kids in the back seat.
Yeah.
So like, there's just certain subjects that people don't want to answer questions uh, from their kids about. Like
Hmm.
uh, Lou was just telling me. Lou is just my broadcast partner on the other podcasts. He was
Right.
just telling me about how his 7-year-old daughter asked him what a hard on was recently, and he was like,
Yeah.
"Where did you hear that? Where did you?" And she said, "On the bus." And what did they say it meant on the bus? It means like when a boy really likes a girl, and he's like, "That's it. Yep, you got it."
Yep, that's it. You got it. Yeah, I'm not going to tell you anything more. Like you just figure it out, right? Which is not the
So
way you want to go, but I guess
I mean,
no, I
I
it
can't
sucks.
as a parent. I mean, I know now you're one.
Yeah.
Your kid's just a little one. This is
Hmm.
but I mean, like when you think about that type of stuff, and you think about the kind of information she'll have available for her to consume as she gets a little bit older. But I mean, it's still a young little innocent pup. Do you get worried about that type of thing?
And do you see the bags under my eyes, dude? Like me and my wife have not slept over the millions of things that my child is going to come to learn. And I mean, the thing of it is like I mean, we've already talked about like things like um, you know, LGBTQIA plus culture, drug use, internets, strangers, like things that we're gonna, we have to uh, race this child for, you know, and especially living in a state like Indiana,
Well, that was the
scary
next
as
part I was
shit,
gonna that's the next part I was
scary
gonna
as
ask
shit.
you. Would it be a safer move or a less safe move to keep her there or to bring her back home?
I mean, obviously the family would love us to come back home, and it's obviously something that we have debated. Um, Politically speaking, probably not the best place to be for a young woman. Uh, and it is pretty scary when you hear the amount of stories of predators out here, especially the positions in the community in which they have, and that they've exploited, for their own personal reasons. So it's not the greatest, but I can't say that it's a bad neighborhood. I mean, we live in a quiet residential, apartment complex of townhomes. It's all pretty much townhomes. We live in the center of town, where a lot of the commerce is. Um, and for the most part, it's a pretty safe, normal area. Nothing too crazy happens, but there is a lot of uh, manipulation of minors, of predator stories, and it does cause the hair on the back of your neck to stand up. Um, but with that being said, like, yeah, dude, um, your life changes when you become a parent, especially when you become a father of a girl. I mean, having a daughter first out the gate is the greatest and like single handedly like the scariest thing in the entire world.
Are you
Because you
talking about doing more, about having more kids?
Yeah, yeah,
Or
we've talked about it, and we are definitely on board for having more. I think we're gonna wait a little while before we have another one, but we're definitely
yeah,
on board for having more children. We're definitely not against it, but we want to take the time to enjoy Sydney, to grow up
yeah,
with her and kind
you,
of with that.
yeah. You want to mold her before you add somebody else into the mold.
Yeah, I mean, I remember my brother and sister-in-law talking about um my niece when she was born. Like my brother has 2 kids, and my nephew was born in 2016, and then 3 years later they had my niece. And I remember my sister-in-law saying that they weren't necessarily ready uh, for
Mm.
her, but they wouldn't change anything about it. But they weren't necessarily like ready
What's the
for
difference between you and your brother?
3 years. Yeah, I'm
So
84. He's
you
87.
can't ever be ready, you know? Like,
No, exactly. And like that was another thing that a lot of people had said when we had initially told them that we were pregnant, was like, there's never a right time to have kids. You kind of just do it. And Sydney wasn't planned. We weren't looking to have a child. We weren't trying to have a child. And I remember when Amber came out from the bathroom holding like a couple dozen paternity tests in her hands, and she's like, "Oh, hey, I got something to tell you."
mhm.
Like me and the dog were staring at each other, and she was in there for a really long time, and we're like, "What's
You
happening?" Like,
you fall in?
yeah, I was about to do that, but it's just it's one of those things. Like when she told me, though, again, like we had just moved out here only a few months prior, and we were living in like a 2-bedroom apartment, like on the first floor. It really wasn't anywhere you want to raise a kid. But
Right.
when she told me, I couldn't have been any more excited. I couldn't have been any happier. I'm like, hey, we're having a family. This is great. And we went ahead with it. And then through the process of pregnancy, and then now having this child, and understanding everything that it takes to raise a baby. Yeah, you start to think about all that stuff. Where are
Did
they
you
going to
make
go to
the move
school?
while
Who are they
Amber
going to
was
be
pregnant?
friends with? What that?
Did you make the move into the townhouse while Amber was pregnant, or did you guys wait
Yeah,
until
dude.
after?
Yeah, dude. I put her pregnant ass to work. I had her lifting the mattress up the stairs at like 6 months pregnant, dude. Like, yeah, I wasn't. She wasn't. There was no
Carry all the
maternity leave with me. Nope. Let's go. Grab that dinner table by yourself, woman.
lift
You
your
can't
end of the
afford
couch,
me.
dummy.
Yeah. Bend with your knees. Tell the
One,
baby to
two,
put its
three,
back into
lift.
it.
Not one, two, three, then lift. You lift at
Yeah.
lift.
But yeah, I mean we had only, rent, or we had only signed like a short lease when we first moved out, knowing that like the first place wasn't going to be somewhere that we wanted to stay. And then there was a shooting that had happened a month or so prior. So that was enough for us. And we're like, all right, we're getting the hell out of here. Um, and then we found where I'm currently doing this from now, which is like a nice little 2-story townhome, which is a lot better of a place to raise her, and bring her home from the hospital. But it's we do think about being closer to family. We do think about what that means, for us, on career level, on a work level, and all that kind of stuff. And there's a lot of things that we have still to work out. But as far as like just raising her as a human being and telling her what to look out for, like I'm not gonna just dump everything on her. But like as she grows up, when I think that she is old enough to understand certain things, we're I'm going to tell her about it. Like, I'm going to tell her that your dad partakes in you know a drug that some people think should be completely legalized and some people think shouldn't be. Some people still have a bad connotation about it and others don't. But I will show you the pros and cons to it. I'll show you the pros and cons to drinking.
A very great friend of mine. He has a 13-year-old son, and he tells his son, he calls it his medicine. He said,
Mhm.
your dad just has to take his medicine, so he doesn't
Yeah.
reference it as a drug. Because once you say the word drug, you like turn it into something like that's like scary or something. Maybe I don't
Yeah.
I don't know, but like your teachers and TV and whatever is all telling you this is drugs are bad, and then
Right.
yeah, drugs are bad when it, but
Right.
like but like medicinally, I guess, like
Well, think
it's
about it from our perspective. When we were growing up, right? We had the Dare program. You had Scruff McGruff coming to your school. You had him on the cartoons, and that's what they
Scruff
said. The
McGruff was a
blanket,
crime dog. That wasn't there. That
right?
was just the
Oh, well,
time.
I always mixed the two. They always kind of showed up hand in hand.
Dare had a lion. He was wearing a lion and he had his arms crossed.
Well, St. Ephraim's there, they had Scruff McGruff. I don't know. They must have somebody must have
They had they
crossed
had deep,
brands. I don't
they
know.
had deeper pockets over there.
I don't know what Ben Salem PD was doing. They didn't have the right mascot. Um, but that was kind of the blanket statement was drugs are bad. Okay, like that was it. Like, and then as we get older, yes, certain drugs are bad. Heroin, ketamine, cocaine. If you want to, not that I've never done cocaine, but I mean, if you want to push it on that level, go for it. MDMA, whatever. The list goes on and on of all the bad drugs and things that you shouldn't put into your body. Understandable, but Ozempic is a drug. You know, uh, Freaking Dayquil is a drug.
Ibuprofen.
Ibuprofen. These are all drugs, and hell, even the Flintstone vitamins are drugs.
Right.
Um, and I get what you're saying when you say the word drug. It does have that negative connotation, but that was the thing. Like we were led to believe that it was a negative connotation to keep us
Right.
off the bad stuff, and then I think the foresight was, oh wait, we also need to get these kids hooked on this shit later on so that our pharmaceutical companies can continue to profit. You know what I mean? And then and then you have this back and forth of like what's a good drug, what's a bad drug, what's good to take, what's not good to take, what's going to give me erectile dysfunction versus what's not going to, or give me a bleeding liver. Like it's this ridiculous thing, but again, proving or showing my child, listen, these are the things that you can do. This is what this drug does. This is what this drug does to you long term. This is what it does to you short term. I think giving them a healthy balance of knowledge will better prepare for that. I'm not perfect. I know that I'm going to make mistakes. I've already made mistakes, being a parent. And I know that I'm going to make a million more. Um, the only thing that I can do with teaching my daughter, how to be a decent human being or to be better than I am, at least, or, just an upstanding citizen is just taking what I've learned, using that information and filtering out all the bullshit that I had been fed most of my life and giving her as much raw information without scaring her as possible. I mean, my biggest fear is obviously other men,
Hmm.
and I want to make sure that she doesn't. I don't want to make sure that she doesn't fear them, but she also doesn't turn a blind eye to them as well. I want her to be able to command respect from men in her life without being labeled a bitch, a whore, a slut, or anything that you've heard in your life. I mean, I'm guilty of it myself, for being derogatory towards women at some point.
Hmm.
And it's a shitty thing to do. It's not something that I'm proud of, but maybe this is my redemption. Maybe this is that arc where I can redeem myself and I can show her like, hey, your dad may not have been a decent, I'm not saying I was a horrible human being, but I had my moments and I wasn't the greatest guy at all times. But you know, I can show you that I've become a better person, that I've evolved into, a
Hmm.
decent human being. And that's why I'm your dad now.
Hmm. Redemption.
Redemption. That's what we're going
Redemption.
for.
Redemption. Uh, what do you do a ton of like uh, I know I feel it and I live here and I've been in this area my entire life and you're like out of the state now. But when you like hear Philly stories and you see Philly things, do you get like a little like hometown pride in that sort of stuff?
Well, hell
When
yeah, dude. I mean, God, yeah. So there's a there's a diner out here in this town called Goshen. So there's a Goshen, PA, but there's a Goshen, Indiana as well. And the day before the Super Bowl, they were hosting a gathering of all the area's Phillies fans, or Eagles fans. So we went. We watched the Eagles games whenever they were aired on TV, and it's obviously the team that I root for. So it was really cool to see a bunch of Eagles fans all get together, but the Philadelphia vibe, the camaraderie just wasn't really there. Everybody got together, they took a photo, they sang they did the Eagles chant song, and then everybody went home. So it was like it was all done within 5 minutes. And it was a nice moment, but that was it. It was just like a moment, like it wasn't, I was kind of hoping it would be like a hangout and like a barbecue, like tailgate kind of thing. And it just was like, all right, we're gonna take this photo. All right, we got it. All right, bye everybody. And that was it.
Well, I think everything happens in like such like temporary segments. Like
Yeah.
society and culture has been trained that like people's attention spans are only this long, only this big. This is why I always say on here about how
Mhm.
if you're joining me and you're spending the currency of your effort and your attention on me, how grateful I am for that, because like everything is just moments. Everything is just like done so quickly. Do you remember like home videos, home movies? Like those don't happen anymore. Like we would
No.
watch like a Christmas and the thing would be going for like an hour where it's just sitting
Yeah.
there, no one's touching it, but everyone's just kind of living Christmas. Now it's like somebody
Hmm.
pulls out their phone, they record something for 1.5 minutes or something, and then that's the only record of it.
Right.
That's the only like, oh, how Christmas Christmas 2012 is only on my Facebook page, and that's it. You know what I mean? Like there's not, and it's only in
Yeah.
30-second clips. It's not.
Hmm.
It's not like That's this is like why I let me see if I can find it.
Let me go back and check my TikTok, or let me go see
Right,
that reel that I posted from a few months ago. Yeah, I
right.
get I get what you're saying. We have we got the grandparents, or the grandparents had these, they're called skylights. It's
Mhm.
basically just it's an LCD picture frame that just changes
Oh,
photos.
yeah.
And you can upload the photo from your phone as long as you have like the link to that specific picture frame. You can upload whatever photos you want. So that's how we share photos with baby back at home a lot. And that definitely is like a huge help. And I kind of, it gives you that modern technology sense, but still has that quaint homey feeling of, it's
Right.
picture frame, and it's there to look decorative. um we don't have many here in my house. What you see behind me is the most framing shit that I have. Other than a cartoon version of my dog on the other side, from the table from me. We're not really great with photos and getting them framed here in the house. But I do put together a photo slide on my TV, so when we're not watching anything and it goes into sleep mode, like it just throws photos up like that.
I can understand. I had that going on with my on my computer, the same
Yeah.
situation. But I asked, and I think Christmas this year, I got a camcorder, so I'm gonna
Hmm.
set up a tripod and just have it going for like our holidays. I don't want that stuff to be gone. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna
Yeah.
the only thing with it is I have to get an external microphone because the microphone is really muffled. It sounds so muffled when you record anything. Really muffled.
Time for
So
it, buddy.
so I'll work on it, and I'm gonna have it kind of like that,
Yeah.
on the record and archived if I
Yeah.
can
I think
do
that's
that.
the thing, is you can't stream like family memories. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
there's no streaming app for your like Christmas '95. You got to get
The
up, you got to put it in the disc, you
streaming
got to put it in
here.
the VHS. Yes. Yeah. Memory stream. That should be the next thing.
Yes.
Bezos
Yeah.
or Musk can work on it. Memory stream.
Like it's like a It's like almost like we're living in a Black Mirror episode.
Dude, every
So
day,
it's
every damn day.
dude. I just watched this whole documentary. I think it was on Prime Video. It was called The
Mhm.
Glitch in the Matrix, and it was all about this being a simulation and the simulation theory. Uh, and a lot of it was like, yeah, top people are saying that it's like a 50-50 chance we might be living
Yeah.
in a simulation. What is your opinions on that?
What the fuck are we simulating? Like if this is a copy, what the hell does the OG look like?
Right. But, I
Um,
mean,
I have
it
no
might be
idea.
like Wally. We're just a bunch of
Yeah,
fat people in wheelchairs.
I don't know. I mean,
Like,
I was
we
I
are, man.
kind of I think of it like the probably from like just because I'm a comic book nerd, I think of it from that perspective. Like I don't know if you've ever read like yeah, I mean, obviously, if you've read a Deadpool comic, then you know like he breaks the fourth wall. But he has that one series where like he kills the Marvel universe, and he does it because he knows he can because nobody's going to die. And then at the end of the here's your spoiler. At the end of the book, you know he breaks through the fourth wall and he winds up in the writers' room at Marvel, and he's going to
Mhm.
kill the writers. You know what I mean? But only Deadpool knows that he's a comic book character. Everybody else knows that they're not. So like I don't know. I kind of think of it like, I guess, reality in that kind of sense that, like, if it is a simulation, then, somebody's writing this script out and they've probably just taken a massive fucking hit of something and are just going balls out crazy.
Well, like
What it
the
seems
idea
like.
is like we're like NPCs, like on like a video game,
Yeah.
like like just programmed to. They're like the world is filled with NPCs, and we're just like unless we're looking at a thing, it doesn't exist. Unless we're
What was,
listening to a thing, it doesn't exist. Unless
what
like
was that? Yeah. What was that movie Gerard Butler did where like it was like Call of Duty, but they were controlled by
oh,
kids.
gamer,
Game. That was it. Yeah, gamer. Duh. Right.
had
Just thought
and
about
it
it.
had Dexter was in it. Anthony Michael Hall.
Yes.
Michael,
Yeah, he
is
was
that
the
his
bad
name?
guy,
His
right?
name is Michael C. Hall. My bad. I said his name wrong.
Yeah.
Come,
Okay. It was
come in the comments if
My,
you want.
Michael C. Hall, right?
Mike. Yeah. What
Michael
did I
C.
say?
Hall is Dexter. You
Yeah.
say Michael Anthony Hall? That's the guy from the Breakfast Club.
Yeah. I think I said that the first time, and then I corrected
Yes.
myself to the
Right.
right.
Yeah. It was like what? Like it's like a modern day Running Man,
Yeah. I
or
never
like at
saw
least
the
was.
movie Gamer, but I remember it coming
Right.
out,
We
and
You got the concept of it, but I always thought like if like if reality was like that, that would be friggin' weird. Like, and I mean, it kind of is kind like in tandem, kind of like the Matrix with Keanu Reeves. Like you plug in and then you become this person, and maybe that's what this is. When we're born, you plug in and now you live in this world and you have to play as this character. And then when you die, you're plugging out and you're maybe off something, doing something else. Who knows? I'm not sure. It would be fun if that were the case.
I'd
I
like.
would
I'd
hate.
like.
I would.
I'd like some cheat codes. Print me out a list of
Yeah.
cheat codes. Out like remember those lists of cheat codes we like write out and then we'd like go like up, down, left, right.
Yeah.
Like print me out a
Yeah.
list of cheat codes for the simulation that is Earth dimension 3 4. What is the one from Rick and Morty? The dimension 314 was it?
Not. I'm not well versed in Rick and Morty.
I'm a Rick and Morty nut. I don't know why that's not coming to me at this very moment.
I think I've watched one episode.
I watched them all, man. I I'm gonna challenge you to check out more Rick and Morty. I think you'd
I
enjoy it.
should. I should watch that. Have you ever watched Philomena Kunk?
No,
No.
no.
Okay. I'll watch Rick and Morty. You watch Philomena Kunk. It is hysterical.
Philomena Kunk. What is it on? Is it on
Yeah.
Adult Swim?
Netflix. Look up like Kunk on Life, Kunk on Earth, Cunk.
Hmm. Okay. I'll
Pretty funny.
it's on Netflix, you say?
Hmm.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
I will put it on my list, and we'll be watching it tonight when I get home. Um,
Yeah.
I'd like to take the chance right now, if I could, because we're gonna start wrapping it up in just a second. I'm gonna ask you a few other quick things, and then I'll send you
Sure.
off into the sunset with a hot dog and a handshake. Uh, so, what I'd like to do pretty often here is like I talk pretty often about things being on the record and things
Hmm.
like being like the availability to go back and listen to this and kind of get a better understanding about like who I was at the time or like where I'm headed to next and like kind of doing a little compare and contrast sort of thing. I do a thing on here that I like to call audio time travel, right? So the audio here, the video here, this recording is going to be
Hmm.
listened to beyond this time, beyond who's ever listening to it when it comes out in the
Yeah.
2025. Let's say, 20 years into the future, this recording gets stumbled across by your daughter, by
Yeah.
your unborn kids. They want to kind of get a
Hmm.
better idea of like what their dad was like.
Yeah.
Or maybe Amber finds this. Not to say that you're not still going to be around. Maybe you're talking right to yourself, giving giving a clear message from 2025 going into the ears of the people in 2045.
Hmm.
The next minute of things you say is going right to their ears. What are you telling them?
If I don't make it past 2027, my wife did it. I only say that because she can hear me right now.
Uh,
No, I mean, what my message to the world, or like what I
for the
hope
20 years.
to,
Yeah.
what I hope to look back on myself 20 years from now, hoping that I was somewhat of a thinker. I don't know. What I would want, I think most importantly, what I would want for anybody to find this, if they wanted to know anything about me when I was 40 years old, is that I do what I can, you know, I do what I can to be a better person every single day. And, I have a family that I live for now. And I've been saying this to my wife that the entirety of this planet could be on fire right up to our front doorstep, and I wouldn't care, because the most important things are are under this roof to me, and I've always held a special value to family and friendship, and holding those closest to you um, as tight as possible, because this is the only life that you get, and you don't want to live it in solitude. You don't want to live it alone. And if you can find at least one person to have any companionship with, then you're a winner. And be grateful for all the people that you have in your life, because who knows, 20 years, 15 years, you might be asked to join your friend on a podcast, and talk about everything that you've learned in those years in between, and all that shit that's happened. But I think for the most part, it's just remember what's important to you. Remember that, you know, life is life and shit's going to happen. You just have to weather that storm. And as long as you can keep your head above water and look at yourself at the end of the day and just say, I did the best that I could, then you've won.
While we're on the record, I just want to take the chance, take this opportunity to say how psyched I am for you, how psyched I am for watching your growth. It's really cool to be friends with somebody for as long as we've been friends, and like the fact that like we can go We can go a year. We could go a year and a half. We can go 2 years without even talking to each other and pick right back up. And we'll always
Yeah.
have it. I hope
Hmm.
to always have that with you. And
I think we always will.
I really want to see where you're headed, where your podcast goes. I'm excited for you. I'm so grateful for you taking the time to hang out with me here today, and I love you, and I always will. I just want to make sure you know that.
Yeah, I
And
love you too, dude, and I always have.
I think, and I was thinking about this earlier today. I I think you were one of my first friends who told me you wanted to be something and told me you wanted to do something, and I remember saying, "I believe in you. I know you can do it." And I don't think I ever did that with any of my other friends, and that like was a pivotal moment for me in being
Yeah,
supportive. And I don't know, even I don't even know if you remember that, but I remember going to you and saying, "You can do that. I believe in you. You for
yeah,
sure will." And
yeah. I mean, we've had those conversations a lot.
I want to go back there for just 1 second and say it to you again. I believe in you. You can do it. Everything you want to be and everything you want to do, you will, and I will watch it and smile.
I appreciate it, and I mean, I the same with you. I love watching your continued growth. I love watching you post episode after. I love watching you talk to all these different people, and I love seeing you being active. You know, in the way that is most honest to you, and doing this as your art form. And it's great to see. I love watching anybody that I grew up with who had that spark of creativity and that artistic nature, like thriving and moving forward. It's great to see. And again, hearing that, it just makes me want to do this even more, and makes me want to again evolve into something bigger, because if you're liking it and if you're approving of it, then that's more reason to keep going forward.
Well, I think I used that uh, just circling back for 1 second before I move on to the next thing. I think I used that early on. Maybe the first conversation that I had with Alyssa, when like
Mhm.
I was like, "You'll do it. Yeah, I absolutely believe in you. Like you can. You'll be there."
Yeah.
And like now, the life that we're building together, I take that back to my first memories of telling you that you can do it and you can be it. Uh, with that being said, if you have any other questions or comments that you have for me that you want to say on the record, I'll give you the opportunity to ask me or say those to me right now.
Okay. Um, on the record, what Cena's a bitch.
Who? Huh?
Cena's a bitch. Did you
Who's
not see it
Tina?
last night? Did you? Cena.
Oh, Cena. Oh yeah, the heel
Cena.
turn John Cena.
He's a
Who in the
You want to
frick?
talk about somebody? You want to talk about somebody doing something wrong, and you're done with them? I'm done with John Cena.
Well,
It was
you know,
terrible what he did to Cody.
it
Ugh.
gave me early NWO Hulk Hogan vibes. Like it was for sure.
Absolutely.
Like it was for
Wait
sure him
before you go.
dropping the leg on Macho. Like
So the meanest meme that I saw from last night was just that they had the back of John Cena, and it was NW, and then his bald spot was the O. And I was just
that's
like,
funny. I know I didn't see that.
dude, it was terrible. Oh man. But seriously, Cena needs the tan, dude. He is way too white.
Very tame. Yeah.
He's very, very bad. Like, he gives
Maybe
Sheamus a run
maybe
for his
that's what
money.
maybe that's he needs his absolute pale skin for whatever part he's doing.
Yeah, Peacemaker. Son of a bitch.
Do you do any impressions at all?
Do I do impressions? Shitty ones. Like
Okay.
really shitty ones.
In one of your favorite shitty impressions, can you do
Oh,
the tagline, the very end, the way we wrap up every episode? I'll have the guest in whatever their favorite impression is, say the tagline, "Be fun, have safe, keep evolving."
Okay. So I'll do this in the, it's not an impression. It's the voice that I use for my dog Ronan. Cause he has conversations with us. And so it's, give it to me one more time.
Be fun, have safe, keep evolving.
All right, kiddo. So just make sure, just be fun, be safe, and keep evolving. Like kind of like my food does, where I eat it and then I digest it and then I poop it back out in the backyard, and then John's got to pick it up with a bag. It's so much fun watching him do it.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
All right, man. Thank you.
Everybody,
Thanks for having me.
first time checking out Evolving, check out the archives if you want, or hit subscribe so you
Yeah.
don't miss any new episodes. Subscribe on YouTube, like, comment, do all those types of things that are call to actions to support the show. Uh, and support yourself.
Keep watching.
Be kind to yourself. Be kind to others. Tell people that you love them. Be fun. Have safe. Keep evolving.
Have safe.
Show's over.